Thank you for viewing the TRIO Student Support Services presentation, Bearcat Budgeting. Budgeting, or creating a spending plan, is the process of deciding in advance how you plan to spend your money. This is typically done monthly. Regardless of how much money you have, it is very difficult to accomplish your financial goals without creating and sticking to a spending plan. This is an example of a budgeting worksheet. A budgeting worksheet is available in the TRIO Student Support Services Financial Resource Guide, found in the Financial Literacy and Scholarships tab of the TRIO SS phone app. There are many budgeting templates available online, or you may create your own spreadsheet based upon your individual spending categories. All budgeting worksheets should include a place to record income from all sources, including financial aid refunds if applicable, and all anticipated spending broken down by category of spending. There are three major steps in the budgeting process. The first step is planning. In this step, you will complete a budgeting worksheet with approximations of what you plan to spend in each budget category. Money that you plan to save should also be accounted for in this budget plan. The total of all planned spending subtracted from the total income should equal 0. If you find that you have more income left over, you may consider adding to your savings category. If you find that you have more expenses than income, you will need to evaluate your planned spending to make adjustments or seek additional income sources. The second, hardest, but most important step in the budgeting process is tracking. You must record your expenses throughout the month and identify to which category these expenses belong. Use a checkbook register to record activity in your bank account. You may also wish to use a second checkbook register or designate several sheets in the checkbook register you use for your bank account to track Bearcat card activity. By doing so, you will know how much you will owe on your student account on the 15th of each month and for what you are being charged. Banks will typically provide checkbook registers to their customers for free if asked. Nikki, the TRIO SS Financial Literacy Coordinator, has some checkbook registers available in the TRIO office. If you need one, please get in touch with her. The third and final step in the budgeting process is reviewing your budget at the conclusion of the month. Compare your planned budget with your actual expenses. You may find that you need to make adjustments in your planned budget for the next month based upon over or underspending in specific categories. In Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University training, he states that many new budgeters may need to go through 3 months of the budgeting process before finally planning a monthly budget that works without adjustments. Be patient and don't get frustrated with the process. These are guidelines which show the percent of monthly income to be budgeted for each spending category. These are just guidelines and may look very different for a traditional college student than for a family. The reason this slide has been included is to point out that if you have a spending category that is way off from what is listed here, that may be a spending category that you can review to make adjustments. Also notice that student loan debt is not listed. If you will begin paying off student loan debt after graduation, please factor this into your budget. When planning your budget, it is very important to identify which expenses are things you need and which are things you want to have, but do not necessarily need. Needs must be accounted for first in a budget, and wants added into the plan if there is money left over after the wants are considered. This may sound like common sense, but people who do not make a budget often spend money on wants and find themselves unable to pay for basic needs at the end of the month. This is a list of needs that should be addressed first in your budget. Housing, food, utilities, etc., must be recorded on your budgeting worksheet first. Start with the expenses that are fixed, such as housing. The amount of monthly rent typically doesn't fluctuate. While food is certainly a need, most people have some control over the amount of money spent on food unless you have a meal plan and exclusively eat using the meal plan. For example, ramen noodles are cheaper than steak. I am certainly not saying that you should only eat ramen, just pointing out that food costs can vary. This is a list of examples of wants that should be added to the budget plan after needs are addressed. Values and circumstances also play a big role in determining if an expense is a want or a need. Under the circumstance of attending college in or after a global pandemic, internet may be a need rather than a want, since so many classes and meetings are being held over Zoom. It may be possible to find a cheaper alternative for your wants to allow a modified version of your wants to fit into your budget. For example, someone who drinks coffee every day can brew coffee at home to make the coffee habit affordable than purchasing Starbucks coffee for $5 per cup. There are also flavored creamers available in the grocery store that can make a home-brewed coffee taste great. As another example, if your friends like to eat out often, try eating something at home before joining your friends in a restaurant. Then order something small like a side salad, side of fries, or perhaps just a drink so you can be social but still stick to your budget. Once you identify some of your wants, brainstorm some ways to fit a compromise of these wants into your budget. Savings should definitely be a category in your budget. It is a good idea to establish an emergency fund as a financial goal. Having an emergency fund can prevent a single event from derailing you financially. One thing that you can count on is that unexpected things will happen that will cost money. That's just life. It may be an illness requiring an unplanned trip to the doctor, your car may break down, or you may get a speeding ticket. Although financial experts recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses for an emergency fund, students can try for a more attainable goal such as $300. When making a budget, it is important to identify your financial goals. For example, if you have a goal of studying abroad, this can be incorporated into the savings category on your budget. It will be much easier to stick to your spending plan if you can focus on your goals. It would be easier to decline an invitation to join friends for a meal out if you know that the money you will save by eating at home will help you reach your goal to study abroad. Make short-term sacrifices for long-term benefits. Financial goals can be short-term or long-term. A financial goal can be as simple as having enough money left in your transportation budget category to make a trip home for the last weekend of the month, or as big as saving for a car or the down payment on a house. Identifying your financial goals can help you stay committed to your spending plan. There are many ways to create a budget or spending plan. A budget worksheet is available in the TRIO SS Financial Resource Guide, found in the Financial Literacy and Scholarships tab of the TRIO SS phone app. This can be filled in electronically or printed to be completed by hand. Your bank may have a budgeting system, or you can use a budgeting app on your phone. This is a list of budgeting apps. There are many more, so find what works best for you. The most important thing you can do to help you stick to your budget is to record or track your purchases. Many students prefer to use a budget app to help them stick to a budget. The method that will be discussed here is the envelope method. You may have many regular monthly expenses such as housing, utilities, insurance, and a cell phone bill debited directly from your bank account, and then record these deductions in your checkbook register. Use cash for the categories of your budget that can fluctuate based upon your choices each month. Use a separate envelope to hold the cash for each of these categories. For example, you could use 4 envelopes, one for groceries, one for restaurants and entertainment, one for gas, and one for consumables. Consumables is a category for purchases that are not food, such as toiletries, cleaning supplies, paper plates, etc. You may wish to divide consumables into smaller categories or add other envelopes for categories of spending you frequently use. Write a check for enough cash to cover these envelope budget categories at the beginning of each month. Asks the bank teller for specific denominations of bills to make dividing the money convenient. For instance, use 20s for restaurants, 50s for gas and consumables, and 100s for groceries. Then divide the cash into the separate labeled envelopes for each spending category with the total enclosed in the envelope at the top of the envelope. Banks will provide extra bank envelopes for free if you ask. When using bank envelopes, you can put the total enclosed on the top of the envelope flap. Record each cash purchase directly on the envelope, so you will always know what you have left for each category. If you are making a purchase that has items from 2 categories, you can ask the sales clerk to ring the purchases up separately. If you are buying just 1 or 2 items in another category, you may pay back 1 envelope from another. For example, if you are making mainly a grocery purchase, but you are also buying a box of Kleenex, you may pay with just grocery money, and then later move $2 out of consumables into groceries. If you do this, do not forget to record both purchases on the envelopes. Using cash envelopes is really helpful for sticking to a budget for several reasons. You can visually see what you have left in each category throughout the month. Seeing what is left helps you in decision making. If you are asked to go out to eat with a friend, and you see that your restaurant envelope is getting low, it may be easier to suggest fast food from the dollar menu instead of a sit-down meal at Applebee's. When the money is gone from a particular category, you cannot make any more purchases in that category. There is a psychological connection with handing over cash. It is so easy to swipe a credit card or debit card. Even a Bearcat card. Purchases made by swiping just don't hurt as much as the ones for which you have to hand over cash. This psychological connection with cash purchases helps most people make more mindful purchasing decisions. One word of caution about the envelope method. It is not recommended to carry an entire month of budgeted cash with you. If you know you will need to buy gas, take a 50 out of your gas envelope and into your wallet. Wrap the receipt around your change, and return the change to the gas envelope when you return home. Record the purchase using the receipt as a guide. You may wish to tuck the receipts into the back of the envelope. By not having all of your budgeted money with you, it may help you to not make an unplanned purchase impulsively. Remember, the idea of budgeting is to plan how you will spend your money before you spend it. Yes, you may have something come up which will require an adjustment to your plan, but this must be accounted for by taking money away from another category. Many students experience financial difficulties. Sometimes these difficulties stem from how they have used or misused their Bearcat cards. Though students may have dining dollars that are prepaid, Bearcat cards at Northwest also allow students to have an inclining balance. This means that the Bearcat card can act like a credit card, with the total amount of the charges being owed when the student account bill comes due on the 15th of each month. Each Northwest student can charge up to $400 at the university bookstore and $250 every 2 weeks in university dining. It is possible for a student to rack up $900 in just 1 month. Parking fines can also be added to a student bill without limit. There is a 1% finance charge on the total unpaid balance of a past due student account each month. A past due student account balance of $1,000 or more from a previous term can result in a cashiering hold, which prevents registration for classes for future terms. Verification to retain those classes or allowing financial aid for the next term to post. Cashiering holds have prevented many students from continuing their education at Northwest, so it is very important to keep track of Bearcat card purchases and factor them into your budget to make sure you can pay your student bill each month. If you are facing financial difficulties, please know that the TRIO SS Financial Literacy Coordinator can be a valuable resource. Please contact Nikki Richardson, the TRIO Student Support Services Financial Literacy Coordinator, if you have questions about budgeting or if you would like assistance creating your own budget. As a reminder, a budget worksheet is available in the TRIO SS Financial Resource Guide, found in the Financial Literacy and Scholarships tab of the TRIO SS phone app. Please complete the quiz over the content of this presentation to receive Fantasy Fund points. These points may be redeemed for prizes. Thank you for viewing this presentation.